Welcome back. As we mentioned in the angle, some politicians are using the New York City terror attack to foment a totally false narrative about terrorism and immigration. To make matters worse, the media, they seem to have no problem advancing this storyline. For example, just hours after the attack, NBC News offered this headline: Muslim Americans again brace for backlash after New York attack. Their concern for the 8 dead victims is just positively overwhelming. The Associated Press posted a tweet this morning saying, quote, investigators seek motive after driver in a rented truck mowed down people on a bike path in New York City. Motive? He yelled Allahu Akbar after he carried out the attack and requested an ISIS flag in his hospital room. You don't need to be Columbo to figure that one out. Joining us for reaction here in Washington is Democratic strategist and adjunct professor David Goodfriend. And in New York is Ann Coulter, a nationally syndicated columnist. It's great to see both of you. Ann, let's start with you. I mean, the cries of Islamophobia. I mean, how long did it take, Ann? Maybe, I don't know, 15 minutes after the terror attacks in New York? It's like clockwork.
6 hours, NBC News in a tweet, for those keeping count. No, the media is very, very predictable. The media is on the side of the Democrats, and the Democrats haven't been changing any minds recently. It's not like they have good ideas. They're bringing in ringers. They want this constant transformation of America so that they can win elections. In fact, it's come up just this week with the Virginia election, I think it was in the Washington Post, no, the New York Times, Democrats fretting that maybe all of the Hispanics that have moved into Virginia may not come out and vote for the Democrat against Gillespie. This is all about the vote for the Democrats. For the Republicans, the corrupt Republicans, it's all because their donors want the cheap labor. But don't imagine that Democrats are changing any minds here.
David, on the issue of this diversity visa program, like 50,000 individuals get it's a lot. It's like a Powerball for visas. Is that really where we should be today, given the labor market, given the fact that, you know, we have a lot of still minorities who are looking for work, who need better jobs, and I don't really get it. We're a pretty diverse country, increasingly diverse now. Why do we need a diversity program?
Well, look, Laura. First of all, I come from the upper Midwest. I know about factories that have shut down, and I know a lot of the concerns about finding jobs for people here at home. But I want the first words I say about this to be that I'm thinking about the families of those 8 people. I think we all should take a deep breath and realize real people were killed, real people are hurt, and we shouldn't allow ourselves to be terrorized by the terrorists. I'm going to ride my bike down a path here in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. I'm going to ride the metro. I won't be intimidated. These are the kind of things we should be talking about, unifying us as a nation,
that's kind of a
bringing us
cliche.
together.
I mean, I like it, David. Don't get me wrong. You're a great guy, but I mean, that's just the stuff we hear all the time. I'm resilient. Of course we're resilient. We're Americans. We all know that.
Well, but you asked about the program. You asked about that visa program.
But they would be alive if we didn't have that cockamamie program in place.
Well, that's like,
okay,
but hold on. That's like me saying, but Laura, that's like me saying there'd be people alive in Las Vegas if we didn't have assault weapons for sale. How do you react to that?
Well, I think in this case, we have a Second Amendment that actually gives us the right to keep and bear arms.
So you would argue that
you don't have a constitutional right to come into the United States
I'm going to get some
from
insight.
Uzbekistan.
You're helping me.
That's
Give me
right.
insight into the mind of a conservative. So because the Second Amendment is there, you think that the shooting and the gun sales are okay. But because we can talk about a law here that passed in 1990, that's completely
That's a tautology. That's not exactly what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you
all
saying?
what I'm saying. I think liberals have gone too far. This is why Trump got elected, and I think everyone gets their blinders on. You know, Ann's written books about this. You know, I've talked about it for years. We get in our blinders and we think, okay, we have the right answers. But you forget that most people in the country aren't all that political. Most people don't really care about politics. They want food on the table. They want safety.
Agreed.
They want security. They maybe save a little for retirement. This seems to make not a lot of sense to most Americans. I bet if you did a poll on this, and Ann, you can chime in, just on this issue of the diversity visa, you ask like a random guy in upstate New York, should we have a diversity visa? You ask people down south, maybe even California, it's Hispanic immigrants, Ann. They're not seeing a lot of hikes in their wages either. Do you think they're all, yeah, we need more diversity? I don't think so. I think the Democrats make a mistake on this one.
You keep bringing up, I think, a fantastic point. You've brought it up with all of your guests, and I would like to more fully answer it, and that is this religion of diversity. No, diversity it's just treated like it's automatically a good thing, like the word organic. And we have diversity plus lottery, because, you know, that's how Kate Upton picks who she's going to date. She has a lottery. Otherwise, professional sports players and rock and rollers, they'd have the inside track. You know, the Astros should be getting chess players and the AV team.
Could I ask Ann a
guy
question?
with club foot. It's crazy. We are the greatest country in the world. We should be choosing our people who are going to be our fellow citizens the way the Astros and the Dodgers choose their players, and not be taking people with club feet. It's our choice. And whenever Americans find out the way any aspect of our immigration policy is run, it is not popular. The Democrats don't want to talk about it. Unfortunately, until Donald Trump, no Republican wanted to talk about it either.
Yep, bingo.
Well, Ann, I want to ask you this question because I'm really curious to know the answer. There was a legislative proposal put forward by Republicans and Democrats to get rid of this program and have a blanket reform that was rejected in the House. Do you support that? Do you support that bipartisan effort to reform immigration?
It was rejected as part of a plan to amnesty 30 million illegal aliens.
So no, so you don't. You don't support it.
So no,
I mean,
we would like to get rid
important.
of the diversity lottery. We do not want to amnesty 30 million illegals.
Well, see, that's interesting.
We have a hard break here, guys, but this is a great segment and a really good conversation. I want to have you both back.
Okay.
Phenomenal. Thanks for being with us.
Here now with reaction, the author of the best-selling book, In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome, Ann Coulter. And to me, this comes down to a very simple, basic, fundamental choice. The inconvenience of a few guests that want the privilege to be here, the inconvenience, or the gambling with the lives of the American people. Why is that such a hard decision for people?
No, and you're right in your monologue. Why can't we learn from Western Europe? Just a few weeks ago, German intelligence reports that 1,000 German residents have gone to fight with ISIS. Hundreds of them have come back to Germany, and what does Merkel do? She's setting them up with welfare, because, you know, if they don't have a lot of welfare, that could radicalize them. Why don't we believe what these migrants say? They come to countries, they rape women. They're having a very difficult time learning not to rape women, even if they're infidel whores and have short skirts. What other immigrant group could not stop itself from raping masses of women? They march around saying, no, you're going to live under Sharia law. They commit terrorist acts. It's right in front of our eyes. And can you imagine? I mean, what Merkel has done is spreading throughout Western Europe. But just in Germany alone, combining German military discipline with Islamic ideology, it's terrifying what we're up against. Why would you do that in this country? And meanwhile, they keep trying to distract us with Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia is probably one of our better allies in the fight against Islam. They've been dealing with these Islamic terrorists for centuries now. And you remember, they're the ones who warned America about the Tsarnaev family that blew up the Boston Marathon. But no, our government officials wouldn't listen. Let's just worry about Russia now that, how long ago did Reagan win the Cold War? It's over.
It's 6 months of a conspiracy lie. I mean, it's been nonstop. Here's a really tough question. I know you'll touch it, but so many are afraid to touch it. If you grow up under Sharia and you're a man and you think you have the right to tell women they can't drive, travel, they've got to dress a certain way, they can't be seen in public without a male relative, if you think you can throw gays and lesbians off of big buildings and kill them or hang them, if you persecute Christians and Jews, how do we know? How do you ever vet somebody's mind and heart? If your culture, you grew up, that's what you learned, which directly contradicts our constitutional values. How do we vet that? Is that possible even?
No, you're absolutely right. In addition to the fact that there is no, Syrian FBI, they don't have a computer database, and there was testimony before the Senate last year saying there's nothing to vet. There's nothing we can look at. I also think it's worth mentioning, maybe you've shown these, and if you haven't, you should. I tweeted it out a few weeks ago, photos of women going to college in Afghanistan not that long ago. It was in the 70s. And it looks like an American college campus. They're wearing, skirts and button-down shirts and carrying their book bags. Things can turn overnight. when you're bringing in these masses of people from very, very different cultures and make it a hate crime to ask them to assimilate, you know, for the cherry on top, and they have no intent of assimilating. Plus, what are we getting out of this? It's one thing if we're bringing in nuclear scientists or engineers. I don't think we're getting a lot of those. But the vast majority of refugees are just instantly coming in, sucking up welfare that's meant for our people.
Yeah. Let me ask you a political question. One of my favorite clips of the snowflake left is you were on your buddy Bill Maher's show, and it's like June or July of 2015, and you say, yeah, Donald Trump has the best chance of winning, and the crowd just is laughing at you. I don't think they're laughing now. So you've been a very strong supporter. I'm pretty angry with the Republican Party. They seem ill-prepared, especially on repeal and replace, and it seems like the president is trying to clean it up. Hopefully they get there. Hopefully they get consensus. Are you happy with how things are going so far?
On most things, I'm disappointed with the Republican Congress. First of all, they ought to be impeaching those 2 travel ban judges immediately. It is totally outrageous. It is against the Constitution. The president, and by the way, every member of Congress, took an oath to uphold the Constitution. The commander-in-chief has authority over immigration. He has full authority not only through the Constitution and his duties as commander-in-chief, but through a federal law passed by Congress that's been on the books and reaffirmed in hundreds of Supreme Court cases, or rather court cases, at least a dozen Supreme Court cases. This is 100% the prerogative of the commander-in-chief. And to have a district court judge stepping in and saying, oh, no, the commander-in-chief doesn't have that duty. What else could a district court just say, oh, no, we're overruling your decision to go to war because, you know, someone in Hawaii could be affected. This is what we need Congress doing. I was hoping for a better repeal of Obamacare. Sean, they've had 7 years to work on it, and no one in Washington seems to understand the free market.
Yeah, they've had 8 years.
Hold, you know, I'll hold our Emperor God Trump harmless on Obamacare. That really isn't his job. He's supposed to be building the wall, deporting illegals, imposing the refugee ban. But with looking at the massive resistance a pro-American president we finally have, looking at the resistance he's getting, he could use an assist from Republicans in Congress, and other than a handful of them, he's not getting it.
All right. Ann Coulter, I owe you an email, by the way, and I'll get that to you right away. Thank you, as always. Appreciate you being with us.